Yeah, not been a bad start to the season for Chelsea, has it? Let's now bring in the Athletic correspondent, Liam Twomey, joins us on the programme. Liam, good to see you. I was expecting a massive smile on your face because it hasn't been a bad start to the season for Chelsea, and it was a pretty good deadline day as well, wasn't it? Bringing in Saul. How's that deal been viewed?
It was, and I think a lot of Chelsea fans are viewing it as kind of the final piece. There's some frustration that they didn't get Jules Koundé over the line as well from Sevilla, but I think the most pressing need in this squad was a fourth central midfielder. That gap had been there since Billy Gilmour went to Norwich on loan. And you have to say, in terms of, experience to this point, ability to contribute right away, Saul, my tongue isn't dexterous enough to say his surname yet, I need a bit more practice, is an immediate upgrade in that position. There are some similarities, I think, to the deal that initially brought Mateo Kovacic to Chelsea. You're getting a proven central midfielder in his mid-20s with plenty to give and plenty to prove.
What sort of player do you think they're getting there, Melissa?
They're getting a very experienced player, very crafty, I think also very versatile in what he can do in terms of his passing range, in terms of controlling a game. And with the midfield Chelsea already have, that allows Thomas Tuchel to be so, I won't say pragmatic, but to play really to what Chelsea need to do to win a game or to not suffer defeat in a game, as we saw at Anfield, where they were so defensively solid when they went down to 10 men. I think he fits into that. And Liam, when you look at Chelsea's squad and the depth they have in every position, are you figuring that they probably have the strongest squad to count on and what I think will be a very tight title race?
Yeah, I don't think there's a big gap between Chelsea and Manchester City at this point in time. Liverpool, you would probably say, have still that title winning upside in terms of their starting 11, but maybe a little bit less depth. And I'm not quite sure what to make of Manchester United yet. But that in itself, I think, is a significant achievement for Chelsea on this window. I think they have closed the gap to Manchester City significantly, to the point where it's now a matter of debate over who you think are favourites to win the Premier League title. I would still be inclined to lean City at this point, just because we've seen them, reach that 95, 100 point mark. They were responsible themselves for raising the bar to that level to win the title. That is the standard that Chelsea have to reach. We haven't seen them do it yet, but I think there's a high degree of confidence that they can do it under Tuchel. And history tells us in the Abramovich era that when Chelsea have a team this complete, a squad this strong, and a coach that is world-class, operating at the peak of his powers, as most people would agree Tuchel is, they win the title. So we'll see if this season follows that pattern as well.
Of course, Liam, Chelsea's big move of the transfer window didn't come on deadline day, did it? We've already seen Romelu Lukaku play twice in his second spell at Chelsea. What have you made to his start and the way the team have adapted to having him in the team?
Yeah, it was a pretty emphatic introduction against Arsenal. They were pretty accommodating opponents in lots of ways. Certainly depleted, obviously diminished as well as a team. But on the basis of just about 5 days training at Cobham, I think it was exceptionally fluid, exceptionally natural. And Lukaku showed, I think, a lot of the ways that his game has developed in 2 years at Inter Milan. His back-to-goal game, his link-up play, his hold-up play. These were things that were regarded as weaknesses in his career in England prior to leaving for Italy. So he made a big play of that at his unveiling, saying that he'd grown his game in those aspects, and he backed it up on the pitch. He had a bit more of a difficult time against Virgil van Dijk, and of course when Chelsea went down to 10 men, his task got even harder, but I think he did pretty well in difficult circumstances. And Chelsea certainly believe, and Tuchel believes, that he has now the elite number 9 that he has been telling Chelsea's board that this team needs ever since he took over.
Liam, there's a lot of obsession about players and signings, but I think people forget or underestimate the impact an elite coach, a very, very good manager can make. And when you look at Chelsea's transformation under Thomas Tuchel, especially defensively with pretty much exactly what he inherited, how important has he been to this whole process of Chelsea closing that gap, as you said?
Yeah, I think he's been the architect of it all. I don't think the standard of coaching has ever been this high at the top of the Premier League. You know, pretty much all of the best coaches in Europe are here right now. And in terms of Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola, you probably have the two coaches that have been at the cutting edge of, you know, tactical progression, with possession, pressing, every key aspect of modern football. They seem to be pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And Thomas Tuchel has, I think, shown enough already at Chelsea and of course in his previous career stops to suggest he belongs in that bracket. He is capable of building teams that can compete with Klopp and Guardiola and beat them on a reasonable basis. You know, the Champions League was a remarkable achievement based on 4 months of exceptional coaching. And now he's had a full pre-season to actually try and construct a little bit more of what he wants this team to be. And you see in the way that Chelsea operate that they are an exceptionally sophisticated team tactically, with the ball, without the ball. Every single player knows exactly where they're supposed to be, exactly where the triggers are to press. And you know, Tuchel said when he came in that he was going to build a team that was no fun to play against, and he's lived up to that promise emphatically, extraordinarily quickly.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of teams that will not want to face this Chelsea side this season. Liam, thank you so much for joining us. Get the feeling it could be quite an exciting season covering Chelsea this campaign. Now, Olivia Bazaglo is at the touchscreen for us, and she's been looking at the biggest spenders of the summer transfer window, Liv.
Yes, I have, Kelly, and that award goes to Arsenal, which surprisingly, they are the biggest spenders, the most they've ever spent in one window, over £140 million. And their sixth summer signing was this man, Takahiro Tomiyasu, a Japanese international who signed from Bologna in Serie A. He cost them £16 million. And one man who will be staying at the club is Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Of course, he was on loan at West Brom last season, playing in centre mid, but his preferred position is actually right back. Now, he held positive talks with Mikel Arteta after posting on an Instagram story that he was frustrated at his lack of playing time and he wanted a club that wanted him and that he would play more. But Mikel Arteta has assured him